Hey guys, it's me, Freddy Pop Collector, and welcome to episode 3 of Fixing Five Nights at Freddy's. For those of you who don't know, this is a 10-part series going through each of the FNAF games and explaining what I would change about them. Each game has their own episode, and this is episode 3 covering Five Nights at Freddy's 3. As always, keep in mind, I'm not implying that any of the FNAF games are broken or bad in any way, it's just stuff that I would change looking back to make the games feel more interconnected and more intertwined. This video will be divided into 3 categories about stuff I would change: lore, gameplay, and other. So without further ado, let's get into episode 3 of Fixing Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know how many of you know this, but FNAF 3 is actually one of my favorite FNAF games. It has my favorite FNAF character, Springtrap, and also it nails the vibe and tone of the franchise. It's very creepy, very unsettling, and doesn't really have any lighthearted parts to it, which I really enjoy. The story is also really incredible, with things like Phone Dude, Phone Guy, the 8-bit minigames, the secret 8-bit minigames. But with that being said, FNAF 3 does have its fair share of flaws. Let's get the obvious out of the way first: Springtrap's jump scare in the FNAF 3 jump scare scream. I brought this up in my top 10 worst FNAF jump scares video I did a few weeks ago. I really don't like Springtrap's jump scare. Springtrap did get a much better jump scare in UCN, but in FNAF 3 he just kind of leans towards you, and couple that with the very quiet, very, I'm gonna say it, unscary scream of FNAF 3, and it just makes for one of the worst jump scares in my opinion. In fact, the jump scare was so bad, Scott decided to continue the game with Five Nights at Freddy's 4, so if Springtrap's jump scare was good and no one complained about it, it probably would have been the end of the franchise. So hey, I guess we gotta be thankful for that, right? This next gameplay change is probably the biggest one I'll ever do in the series, and that's adding an entirely new character. Now, if you haven't noticed with this series, I try to keep the main core game intact and try not to mess with it too much. But since we know the puppet is around in FNAF 3, I think I would make the puppet a threat. Instead of having the phantoms as obstacles, maybe the puppet could be here as well. The phantom's still here, but more as background characters. As far as mechanics go, she would probably work the same as Springtrap, only when she gets to your office, you have to play a music box on the maintenance pad to make her go away. This is just one idea, but the main point here is that Springtrap being the only animatronic that can kill you is kind of repetitive, and one of the main complaints I see from people criticizing this game. The next gameplay change I would make is Springtrap visibly moving on the cameras. I know Click Team has its limits, but by the time Scott got to Sister Location in FNAF 6, he was really mastering animatronic movement on Click Team's limited software. By the way, really quick, I just wanted to say this also should have been a feature in FNAF 1 and FNAF 2's Fixing FNAF videos. I'm sorry I forgot. I think animatronics should move on the cameras. We do get some instances like that in the first 2 games, like Toy Bonnie when he comes out of the vent and Foxy in the hallway, but I think all the animatronics should move on the camera instead of it just going to static, but, you know. Yeah, let's get back to the video. But besides that, that pretty much wraps up all the major gameplay changes. I think the phantoms are fine. I think the camera should maybe rotate as well to make it feel a little bit more real, but besides that, I'm pretty satisfied with FNAF 3. So since we're done with that, let's move on to the lore section. The first lore change I would add is I think at this point in the series, Puppet should already be inside Lefty. You don't actually know throughout the game that Puppet is inside Lefty. I think that reveal should come in FNAF 6. The only hint you get that Puppet is inside is that the music box soothes Lefty and sends him away. Another lore fix I would add is maybe some sort of mention of Golden Freddy. Maybe he would spawn in your office like he did in FNAF 1 and FNAF 2. We see Puppet, Shadow Freddy, Shadow Bonnie, Springtrap, basically all the characters left in the series up to this point, but Golden Freddy's not here for some reason, and I think he really should be. Another small lore change I would add is I think at the end of Night 5 you should get your paycheck. After you beat Night 5, you get your ending, as well as seeing Purple Guy die, but you don't get your paycheck, which I always thought was weird. On the paycheck, I think it should say Michael Afton, and this will be our first time hearing about the Afton family in the franchise. But all in all, FNAF 3's lore is pretty solid. There wasn't really that much to tamper with. So let's move on to the final section, the other section. As we all know, in FNAF 6, Springtrap looks drastically different than he did in FNAF 3. I think in the newspaper clipping at the end of Night 6, Springtrap should already be in a Scrap Trap costume. I think this would make the transition into his new suit in FNAF 6 a little bit more natural. This is another incredibly small detail, but I think Phantom Mangle should be on the extras menu instead of Springtrap getting 2 slots. Speaking of the Phantoms, maybe they could be new models instead of just being reuses of the FNAF 1 and FNAF 2 models. I get that they're hallucinations, but new models would have been nice. And as the final note I have on this other section, maybe that vent we see in FNAF Your Help Wanted could also be seen in FNAF 3's main game. But with all that being said, that's gonna wrap out fixing Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'm sorry this one's taken longer to get out than the other two. It's just I was on vacation this week in Florida and I just really didn't feel like doing a video this long because these fixing FNAF videos take a lot longer than regular videos. But I did finally get it done. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for 32,000 subscribers as well. We're almost on 33. Thank you guys so much. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.